This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Welcome inside the studio. It is Wednesday, Grant. How you feeling?
You got that music bumping. Wow.
Hey, man, we gotta celebrate a little bit.
It's Hump Day.
Yeah, Hump Day here on the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Wednesday edition. We are so excited. Grant is back in the studio. Life is all good and well.
Is it really?
It is well with my soul, Grant.
That's a great song.
It is. It's a beautiful song. We're excited. Welcome to the show today. We have a full lineup for you today. A lot of NFL talk. Our power rankings. The power rankings are ready, Grant. The new ones are out. You've got your rant, a little bit of MLB playoff picture.
Rant. There's a bunch of stuff going on.
We got all kinds of stuff.
We
got it. You got it. Everybody's got it.
This time of the year is much better than, say, April.
Anytime after March Madness is over, the sports world just doesn't exist.
April, May, it's kind of just the rough months.
It is. It's very rough. But it's not rough when you can catch us every single day of the week, Grant. Monday through Friday, that is.
I'd rate that transition a 5 out of 10.
Thank you. I was working on it. That's my first one of the day. You got to let me, work with it a little bit. You can catch us, though, as I so poorly apparently transitioned into, Monday through Friday right here live on Spreaker.com from 7 to 8 a.m. Central. You can also catch us on SportsRadioAmerica.com, Live 365, and tune in from 11 to 1 p.m. Central. And you can catch us on demand anytime you want, whether you're in the car, going for a walk, brewing a cup of tea in the afternoon to eat with your crumpets or to drink with your crumpets. I don't think you eat tea. That sounds painful. Anyway, you can catch us anytime you want on iTunes, on iHeartRadio, and on Spreaker.com as well.
You can also find us on Facebook at the Bax and Grant Sports Show. You can head over to Twitter and find Baxter at Baxter Colburn, and I'm at Grant's Rant BGSS. You can also follow the show at BG Sports Show, and you can also find us on Instagram at BG Sports Show.
Absolutely. Special thanks to all of you that are watching us on Periscope as well. We appreciate your viewership. Makes the show a little bit more lively when we can not only look at ourselves. No, that's not it. We're not that vain. Okay, maybe we are a little bit. But we enjoy being able to communicate with all of you on Periscope as well. So thank you for your viewership and /listenership as well. You know what, Grant?
Yeah.
Things happen in the sports world for a reason. We all know that.
Yes.
Like running the ball on the passing the ball on the 1 yard line.
And then running the ball on fourth down.
And then running the ball on fourth down and kicking an onside kick in the first play of overtime.
But that wasn't supposed to happen.
But that's just about the Seahawks. That just things like that. But
the kicker screwed up.
The kicker screwed up. As a former kicker, it's a lot of pressure, man. It's a lot of pressure.
You got one job.
You don't know what it's like.
You got one job.
But it's so, you literally either are perfect or they kill you. That's kind of how it is.
Because you literally have one job. You kick the ball with your foot.
It's not as easy as it looks, Grant.
Well, yeah, but that's your job.
Yeah, well, anyway.
And I mean, granted, that's not. I can see that because that's not something you do every day. Because how often do you want to do a really big lob, bloopy kind of a kick?
Not very often.
Honestly. You don't do that every day. You go and kick a field goal every single day, but you don't kick bloops every single day. So I can see that, but still,
of course,
you have one job.
It is, absolutely. You have one job. Now, speaking about things that happen just in the sports world and things that fall to chance, back in 2005, you will remember, Grant, the Green Bay Packers, they did not play so well. They did not.
No, not well at all.
They went 4-12, and it was just not a good season as a whole. But 2005 was also the year that a interesting, talented, and wonderful man by the name of Aaron Rodgers came into the league.
The man from California.
The man from Cal Berkeley, I believe, right? University of Cal.
Yeah, the Bears.
Yeah, the Bears. The Golden Bears.
The Golden Bears, don't you know?
It's like a foreshadowing. Anyway, I'm going to play a game with you, Grant. What if Aaron Rodgers did not fall to the Green Bay Packers?
Well, you could argue it might take a while, and I don't know if this would happen, but normally, maybe let's say he'd get drafted to the Oakland Raiders, who just trade away all their prospects that turn out good and keep all the bad ones,
like James Jones.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ooh.
So even though he's still got to step it up for
I
was
wondering
if
I could get you on that one.
He still for a couple of weeks, but first good week.
Sure,
anyway,
sure.
The Packers could still maybe pick him up that way, kind of like Brett Favre.
Yes.
Because the Packers didn't draft Brett Favre. They went out and got him. So maybe still possibly like that. So even if they didn't draft him, you never know.
Now, the reason I ask this is because over at LombardiAv.com, one of the Green Bay Packers site on Fansided.com, they asked that question, Grant. They said, what if Aaron Rodgers doesn't drop all the way to I believe it was the 23rd pick in the draft that year?
That'd be sad.
It would be very sad because think about it. All the teams, the 22 other teams ahead of the Packers, they're looking at Aaron Rodgers, they're looking at all the other guys that are being drafted, and they're like, oh, these guys are better, these guys are better, these guys are better. And the three quarterbacks that were chosen back in the 2006 or 2000. Why is this? Okay, I'm sorry. This article is flipping back and forth. So it was 2005 is when he was drafted. Am I correct? Yes. Anyway, I'm sorry. It's the article is flipping on me. Anyway, so the Packers, let's say they don't draft him, and then immediately Brett Favre is still going around. Brett Favre stays with the team until 2008. And then obviously retires, but he's like, whoop, just kidding, goes back, plays for another team. Anyway, you've got that gap where you're trying to transition in a new player. You're trying to figure out who would be the next good quarterback, potentially, because Green Bay would need that. They're getting to that point. They're getting to the end of the Brett Favre era. And, it's just, you look at, San Francisco, they drafted Alex Smith first, and then you draft all the way down to the eventual 24th spot, not 23rd, forgive me, and the Green Bay Packers then go and select Aaron Rodgers. The pick right after them is Washington. They drafted Jason Campbell. Well, we saw how well that worked out for them. But it just begs a lot of questions, though, granted. But, what if? We don't obviously probably have a Super Bowl. If Green Bay does not take Aaron Rodgers and they go and draft another position, the next three quote-unquote good quarterbacks that are available the following draft are Vince Young, Matt Leinart, and Jay Cutler. Do any of those three, you're getting to that point in 2006 where as Green Bay you're saying, all right, Favre, he's getting older now, he's got another year under his belt, maybe he did well, maybe he didn't, because obviously Rodgers didn't play for the first 3 years of his career because he was on the bench. We know the end product of them now.
Right.
Obviously, Vince Young is not in the league anymore, and Matt Leinart, I don't even know if he's around anymore, honestly. I think he's not. And then obviously we know the story about Jay Cutler. If you completely take away the experiences that they've had, you take away their careers as a whole right now, do any of those guys seem as a viable option that could have come in possibly? I know Vince Young did end up playing for the Packers for a short time, but he didn't end up making the final roster, etc., got hurt. But even out of those three, yes, coming out of college, I feel like Matt Leinart and Vince Young probably were the better out of the two, or out of the three. But is this something that you really would consider thinking well, maybe Jay Cutler could have been a Packer, or maybe Matt Leinart or Vince Young?
Well, you know what the really sad / scary thing that really put into perspective?
It's a lot of slashes.
I know that this article did is they were like, what if Jay Cutler was the Packers quarterback, and then goes ahead and lists everything that Jay Cutler has done, but instead of it being, the Bears, put it as the Packers. So the Packers have now gone 1-11 in the Jay Cutler era against the Bears, has thrown X amount of interception, lost the NFC Championship game in Lambeau Field, all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, I am so glad I am not a Bears
you're on the other side of that. That's
glad.
Just terrifying. There's no reason for that.
I was reading that. I was like, oh, my word.
It just is an absolute... the last sentence in the article, it says, talk about a nightmare, which it does. That sounds terrible, but that's...
awful.
That's the Jay Cutler that we know now. If you would take the Green Bay Packer teams and throw them, throughout the years, and then throw Jay Cutler learning from a Brett Favre or a Matt Leinart or Vince Young learning from Brett Favre, there's an opportunity there that might have, presented their careers to be a little bit different. And Aaron Rodgers has done so much for the Green Bay Packers, and I think that we do take that for granted at times as Packer fans because we're so used to it. We're so used to him being good.
Right.
We're not used to Aaron Rodgers messing up. We're not used to Aaron Rodgers making a bad decision. So if he were on another team, would we be Green Bay with a whoever quarterback right now at this point in time in Rodgers' career, whether he went to literally any other team in the draft and saying, "Oh wow, that Rodgers guy, he's really good." Like I wish he was on our team.
Now, interesting, quick little thing about Aaron Rodgers is that little known fact. Well, maybe not little known fact, but after this past game against the Bears, he threw three touchdowns and no interceptions. So that brings his touchdown to interception rate over. It's quadrupled now for how many touchdowns he has thrown compared to his interceptions, and most of the top NFL quarterbacks don't even get to tripled. So he's staying consistent, not
it
used to
is.
making
It's
him
all about
use
consistency.
mistakes. There you go. That's a really great example right there. There has not been a more consistent quarterback in the NFL.
Now, if you are Green Bay, and this is an interesting part in terms of what you were talking about, we had someone text into the show too. They said that if the Packers don't draft Aaron Rodgers, but when they did, there's a good chance that Brett Favre doesn't leave.
Yeah,
in 2008.
Yeah, probably he would stay around for a while the Packers scrambled to find a quarterback. Because think about it, the whole thing that happened with Brett Favre's like, I'm going to retire, I'm going to come back, I'm going to retire,
because he felt like he was maybe being forced out, regardless if he was actually being forced out or not. I doubt it.
And then, 2007 rolls along, and he's like, okay, I'm officially retiring.
Yes.
Packers like, okay. And then he gets pretty clear he didn't want to do training camp. He didn't want to do, he didn't want to do the camps. And I mean, I really wouldn't either at his age that he was playing in after doing them for like 16 years. I mean, after a while, you would get bored of people, rookies trying to make their way. Anyway, so what happened was, you all know the story. Then, not Tom Brady, not Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. There we go.
I was like, who are you looking for? Yes.
Brett Favre, he's like, okay, I want to come back. And, Ted Thompson, Mike Murphy, Coach McCarthy, they're all like, you know what? Right now, we're just going to work with Aaron Rodgers because we have Aaron Rodgers now. He's worked with camp with us, all this. We've had a great time with you, but, we're just going to move to our new guy.
Thanks, but it's time to move on.
We're really liking Aaron, and I'm like,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, the Packers went 6-10 that season, but there was a lot of close games. Most of their games came within 7 points.
Yep.
And that was with a first-year starter quarterback.
Yes.
And it's worked out great to this point, so I think it was a good decision by the Packers, because it let Aaron Rodgers get that growth. But going back to the original question, he most likely would have stayed in Green Bay because they would have had Aaron Rodgers, and it'd be like, oh,
there's
this backup.
That quarterback class, even during that 05 to 08 era, was not that great. I mean, there might have been some guys in there, but Green Bay was doing relatively well. But even still, it makes you scratch your head and go, what if?
I wonder
what would have happened. I mean, just as
I'm glad it happened this way.
Absolutely. I am 100% fine with the fact that, Green Bay ended up with him. Like you were saying though before, Grant, Aaron Rodgers, 229 total passing touchdowns, only 57 interceptions in his career. His career quarterback rating is a 106.3. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, it is time for the man, the myth, the legend, Grant, to do his rant. You're not going to want to miss it. This is the Baxton Grant Sports Show. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Welcome back inside the studio here on a Wednesday edition of the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Grant, how are you?
I'm really good, actually. I'm doing
good.
well.
I'm glad. I'm so glad you're doing well. I mean, I feel like I'm doing well. I feel like the show is going good thus far, you know.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers. I'm so glad.
Yes. First segment.
After talking about that segment and reading like that section's like, yeah.
Just looking back at his stats too, you're just kind of like, oh gosh, thank you.
And it's like, yeah, Jay Cutler could have been a Packer. You know, you never know.
Coulda, but wasn't, thankfully.
Thank the Lord.
And I think many fans of Green Bay Nation, and just maybe not. Maybe we'd have the reverse of what Chicago's getting right now, where they'd be like, "Oh, we're playing Jay Cutler this week. Can't wait.
Like,
let's get another interception."
Great Bears quarterbacks, and then because that's been going around. It's the 4 greatest Packer quarterbacks. It has Bart Starr, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and then a picture of Jay Cutler.
Yeah, people were asking. I was listening to the radio the other day on 540 ESPN here in Milwaukee. And they were semi-joking, but they were like, so is Jay Cutler a first-team ballot for the Packers Hall of Fame? And they're like, yeah, he might get second ballot, but he's definitely in the Packer Hall of Fame. He's done enough. He's done a lot for the team. You know,
he's done a lot of,
I think that would be hilarious if they actually hey, Jay, you should, thanks, man.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. I'd die.
What would you do if you're Jay Cutler and you get a letter from the Packers congratulating you on being inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Probably okay, too far. Kind of thing.
You guys.
That'd be a little too far. But interesting fact, Jay Cutler has never thrown a pick 6 to a Packer player before.
Which is surprising.
It's never happened.
It's come
really
close.
It's been
close.
really, really close. There was one, I think, that went inside the 5.
Well,
a couple, actually.
Maybe we can get him next time.
Because there is a video. It's old now because it won't have last week's game on there with Clay Matthews' interception. But there is a video with every single interception minus last week's, most likely, that Jay Cutler has thrown to the Packers, and it's probably the best 7 minutes of your life.
You will never ever forget
if you're a
about
Packers
that.
fan. If you're a Bears fan,
don't even bother clicking on it.
Cringeworthy.
I mean, you can diagnose and say, "Oh, he did that wrong. He did this wrong," but don't just stop. But I don't want to stop Grant because it's time for your rant. It's Wednesday, which means it is time for Grant's rant. And for those of you that don't know, Wednesday is one of the days out of the 5 days of the week that we have Grant come on and do a rant about something that happens in the sports world, and then we kind of hash it out in a little bit more detail. So, Grant gets 1 minute on the clock. Are you ready, sir?
Oh, I am more than ready.
Are you sure?
Very sure.
You don't want to take a TV timeout or grab the water boy?
We just had a commercial break. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
Ready, go.
So, recently, within the last week, there have been a lot of violence. In the past 2 weeks, there's been a lot of violence in high school football, including referees and other players. First, famously, last week, there 2 players purposefully tackled a referee. One hit him to the ground, and then while the referee was on the ground, the other player spearheaded him. Now, in the same area, there was another high school football player. There was personal fouls called flying, and then a referee threw another one as a player was walking past him and then shoved the referee. So, that more violence. Then another game, a kid ripped off another player's helmet and smashed it up against his head. Didn't get thrown out of the game, but still, all this violence has been recently happening in high school football within the period of a week.
Time.
And you never hear about that.
No.
It's like,
why do we not hear about this?
You've never heard about referees getting, it's something that you just don't do. And now it's happened twice in a week. And then in the same area, no, mind you.
This is all down in Texas, you're saying?
I think, or out in Pennsylvania. I'm not sure.
Okay, because I say that one's, you got San Antonio on that one.
Okay, so yeah, it's Texas. So,
okay.
Yeah, because the first one, the really famous one was because it was a bad ball, or a bad call, not a bad ball, excuse me. There was a bad call, and the kids didn't like it, so they did that. Interestingly enough, the referee is strongly considered pressing charges.
I would.
Against those students. Yeah, if you watch the video, it's like,
you don't attack a referee.
One just flattened him out, clearly did not play for the ball, clearly just flattened him out, and the other kid came in and led with his head right into the back. of the ref.
It's a respect thing. Like, I get it. Yes, you have anger towards the referees. I've been a player multiple years, and there are calls that I have wanted to drop kick the ref for. Have I? No. Never have. You respect the referee. They are the authority over you in that game.
That's part of the game. You don't get mad. You have to keep your cool.
And the fact that we're seeing this happen in high school makes you kind of wonder. I mean, we can make this a bigger thing than maybe it needs to be right now, but you wonder the level of respect and discipline that these boys are having done to them in their own lives.
Right.
Because if they feel like they can come in and just defy authority figures, what if this is in a high school game where you know the rules? There is a set establishment of rules. Are they doing this in school? Are they doing this in their work life? Are they doing this with their families? Are they this disrespectful?
And you have to think, too, also because, Texas, stereotypically and truthfully, the high school football for them is the next big thing. Like,
it is.
For them. It's their life. It is huge. Like, you see the old movies from, like, they're in the 70s and stuff, and high school football, that's, like, the huge thing. That's still a thing.
It is.
Like, high school football is absolutely big down there. Like, I forget what movie it is, but they go to football camps for, like, a week at a different camp. I just watched the video is titled Hell Week, and it's a Tennessee, not Texas, but it's a Tennessee high school football team, and they go to a camp and they just train hard nights in the rain, get woken up at like 1 a.m., do stuff like that, and that's what these high school football teams are doing to get ready because it is so serious down there.
Yeah.
And so, is it possibly because there's so much hype, so much pressure, didn't like the call because this team was losing and ended up losing the game. So it's a really big deal, and maybe they were just so angry, and it's such a big deal down there that they retaliated like this. So do teams in areas, because the whole community gets involved, do they need to, bring it back?
I think
you
so.
need to
and I think,
take it down a few notches.
And if you're not having any of these players suspended or being tossed out of the games, there needs to be something. If I'm the athletic director, if I'm the principal of these high schools, and I see my students, who I'm responsible for because they go to my school, acting like this, acting with just pure nonsense and not even thinking, that reflects poorly on the high school as a whole. Nobody cares about, it was the football team. They care about, it's that guy from that one school.
Right.
And
exactly.
That makes the school have a bad rep, even though it was one kid out of the maybe 3,000 kids that maybe go to that high school.
Yeah.
Or the two, yeah. That reflects poorly, and then that might affect the school long-term as well, not just because of this one incident.
Yeah, and the two boys, for the one incident, got ejected from the game. They got flagged, ejected from the game, suspended from school, are not on the team anymore, and they might get charges pressed against them. So I
would press charges.
And people are, what has been saying, like in that area, is they're trying to not have those boys ever play football in that area again.
I wouldn't.
And then the other boy who shoved the referee, it wasn't like, you still don't do that.
No,
you don't touch a referee. Don't show violence towards a referee. But it wasn't like, I'm not trying to downplay it, but it wasn't like awful.
No.
It was just like a little push, like, come on, man. But you still don't do that. He was flagged, ejected from the game. But that is the extent of it so far that I've heard, since it only happened Friday. But I haven't heard anything previous from that. But, but the kid who, this one I felt like was awful. Mm-hmm. There was a defensive lineman came and was in the trenches. It was on a run play against the offensive lineman. The defensive lineman ripped the offensive guy's head off, his head clear off, his helmet off, and then just in front of referees, like he got flagged by two separate referees instantly, just smashed his helmet right up against his head, and they didn't eject him from the game.
Well, I mean, look at what happened with Pac-Man Jones and Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Same thing. And I wonder how much of it, when it comes to the football world, is because there's no punishment at the big level for things like this.
Yeah.
We saw that was the exact same thing happen with Pac-Man Jones.
And he's probably not going to get suspended for a game for
he'll
that.
Get a fine, but he won't get suspended.
And that's ridiculous.
Which is basically saying, that's fine.
Right.
Like, just give us some of your money, but whatever. That's trivial to them. They don't care. You can take $1 million away, and they're like, whatever. That's totally fine.
If you want to, like with the whole thing with concussions, and you're saying, oh, we're stepping hard on concussions, but you're letting players smash their heads smash another player's head against
with a helmet. You're using a weapon. You're using that helmet as a weapon, and you are trying to literally, whatever your end game is, if I take off your helmet and I try to smack you in the head with it, I'm not trying to just say, hey, good game out there. I'm trying to literally cause you physical harm.
So you probably don't play anymore or something like that. It's like, you don't do that.
There's just so many different ways that you can take this argument and move it. It starts with respect. It starts with all different kinds of areas, and just, it's a game. At the end of the day, it is a game.
Yes, and it's not life, and I think that's part of the reason why this happens. And then also, look, you're kind of saying, look at what it's on the pro level. Look at all these problems that we have on the pro level in this past year. We all say Roger Goodell had an awful year last year with all the off-field issues that he had to deal with.
Yes.
And I'm guessing it's stemming at a younger age and all this pressure that they're feeling because they need to perform big if they want to play football, because if you don't play great, if you're not perfect, then you're not going to be playing. You can't play football for as long as you want to. And I mean, part of that, yes, you can't do that. You can't let it get the best of you. But part of it is society.
It is
putting all this pressure on them because of a game.
And I think even I was talking with David Kenyon on the show yesterday too. You see this with fantasy football too. Like, people get fired up about fantasy football. Like, it is just a game. You're not out. Like, it is. Life is so much bigger than this one game.
Or even just football in general. I know I can get a little, passionate about it, but I'm not like. And my wife is like, it's just football, and I'm like, yeah, it's just football, but yeah, then sometimes
you have that passion for it. Yeah.
Sometimes you need to tone it down. Or recently, I'll do this quickly, but San Francisco and the Vikings player after the San Francisco Vikings game, about 6 San Francisco fans beat up on one Vikings fan, and we've heard this multiple times throughout the past couple sporting years, is fans being beat up in the parking lot. It's like, it's just a game, guys.
It is just a game. We'll be right back. This is the Baxter Grant Sports Show. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Welcome back inside the studio here on a Wednesday edition of the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Remember, you can catch us every Monday through Friday right here on Spreaker.com, live from 7 to 8 a.m. Central Time, and on Sports Radio America every day, Monday through Friday, from 11 to 1 p.m. Central as well. Well, Grant, it is a new week, which means our power rankings are not this segment, they're next segment, because I don't know how to read, so just kidding.
That's why I purposefully pulled up this article so you could see that it was next.
I was just making sure that people knew that our power rankings were the next segment, because it's so exciting.
You're okay. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't feel the pressure. Don't go smashing my head against the helmet.
Yeah, I'm gonna find a helmet. I'm gonna beat you with it. I'm gonna take your own helmet off of your own head and beat you with it.
Oh, like I said, rips their head off.
Yeah, I was like, Grant,
clean off.
That's like straight off from 300 or Sparta or something. Like, come on.
This is Sparta.
Oh, Lord. Okay, well, what I meant to actually transition into, Grant, it's my first day. You got to give me a little bit of help here. So, Bleacher Report released an article back in the beginning of September called...
It's a great article.
It's fantastic.
Love it.
Fantastic. It is entitled 20 Sports Phrases and Cliches That Are Ready for Retirement. Because, let's be honest, everybody loves hearing the same descriptive words to talk about a player that make you want to just jump off a cliff. And it's like, get a freaking dictionary or thesaurus.
Well, to be fair, and I definitely thought this before we started doing the show, starting broadcasting, and I'm not going to say like a professional broadcaster.
No,
just dabbling in it. But still, when like experiencing that and having, to think a little quicker on your toes, because you're a lot better at it than I am. I can just imagine some guys that aren't as good with it, and they just need a word, and then they just have something that's their word that they can just easily throw out there because they're trying to fire out new information quickly, make it sound interesting and sound good, because that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that there are these words.
We're all guilty of it. I mean,
right.
I'm guilty of saying some of these during broadcasts.
Like going forward and stuff like that. And I say
absolutely.
I like, you have, like, I'm not saying that the going forward thing is bad. I'm just saying that's your thing. Like, you have your phrases, I have my phrases, and popular people on popular broadcasters on NFL. Like, there's I'm just gonna say one on here because that's one that I can think of, but forgetting his name right now. But when you hit a home run, and he goes back.
Oh, Chris Berman.
Yeah, Chris Berman.
Yeah, during the home run.
Yeah, like just he says back every time when he's when there's a home run. It's like that's his thing. But I mean,
that's just him. That's what he does. That's like if you listen to the Milwaukee Brewers when Bob Uecker calls a game, it's the same. Get up, get out of here, God, and that's what he says.
Yeah,
that's what he always says, no matter what.
Some of these are just not interesting, old, stupid, and kind of like Captain Obvious statements.
So let's look at this list, Grant. Then the first one on this list is intangibles.
See, this is like the only one that I actually haven't heard.
Really, you haven't heard of players'
No.
intangibles? Like, the way the article describes it, it's basically saying that players, when you're talking about a player's qualities or a specific problem that is going on, you're basically calling guys like, if you use the word intangibles in the same sentence as like an Andrew Luck or a Mike Trout, you're basically saying that's equating it to about a layup. It's just not. It takes away from how good they actually are.
Oh, I see.
It's like, they have good intangibles. Well, okay. Thanks for just like chopping that guy at the knees, basically.
No.
Now, the next one we hear in every sport, men among boys.
And I absolutely love the description.
It is perfect. Would you read it for us, please?
Newsflash, there are no boys in professional sports. If anything, it would be more accurate to say a possibly bionic superhero of a man among already impressive men.
And there's a picture of Megatron.
Appropriately.
You don't say men among boys. Like, we get the context of it. I understand why you would say it if, one team is just pounding the other team. Oh, they look like men among boys out there. Well,
I mean,
if you ever had men play against boys in any sport, number one, they would crush them. Number two, I'm pretty sure
there'd be tears.
There'd be tears. Lots of tears. It's like a family Thanksgiving football
Even though
game.
there are tears on an NFL football field. But anyway, if you go and I just want you to walk up to a professional football player you are calling a boy and say that to his face and then see what happens to you.
Yeah. The next one I think we've heard more than one time, especially in the football world. You talk about the way that they describe this. A B-list quarterback has looked sharp in training camp, and they use examples. Jay Cutler has looked sharp so far in training camp. Ryan Tannehill has been sharp in training camp. Blaine Gabbert has looked sharp in training camp.
And arguably, I think I might have heard this. Well, not maybe this exact phrasing, but Colin Kaepernick.
Has he looked sharp in training camp?
Yeah, because he went to, and I heard it like for 5 minutes straight trying to watch the Vikings game, that going over and over and over again that he went to this training camp and he got special help from a quarterback coach, and that's what he did. He got help and he's looked so much better and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, shut up.
Yeah, but he's looking sharp though, Grant. He's
looking real sharp in training camp.
The next one we hear all the time. If they can stay healthy, and the picture is rightfully so of Sam Bradford, because let's be honest, if Sam Bradford can stay healthy, he could be a great quarterback.
Well,
there's that big word.
This is the one thing that I just hate about this statement, and I don't know how other people feel about this, but this statement just gets me because it's like, if they can stay healthy.
Well, isn't that the goal? No player starts every game saying, I might think about getting an injury today.
And it's like, what are they going to do? It's like some guy comes out their knee. It's like, he's like, okay, stop. This is my ACL.
I'm trying to stay healthy
I'm trying to stay healthy. It's like,
please
what
don't hit me.
What can they do?
There's literally nothing that they can do.
Well, they can do like certain training things, and I actually read an article one point that trainers have went to practices, and they say about 70% of ACL tears.
Yeah.
And this came after Jordy Nelson, because they're like, most of ACL tears, well, a good majority of ACL tears are non-contact. And
which is crazy.
They're like, we could cut 70% of those if you just change this. So, yes, there are ways, but it's not particularly the player's fault. It's more the organization as a whole.
It is,
but still, it's like players don't have a choice to get injured or not. If they can stay healthy, what are you talking about? They don't choose to get injured.
Yeah, and the examples they were using is, if player X can stay healthy, he'll have a career year. Well, if this team can stay healthy, they've got a good shot at winning a title. Well, obviously. No kidding.
Thank you.
It's like saying, if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy this year, the Packers have a good chance of winning Super Bowl. Well, sure, yes, obviously, because if Aaron Rodgers goes down, well, then the Packers' Super Bowl chances are very, very slim.
But you got Scotty Tolzien.
Yeah, Scotty T, and you even got Brett Hundley.
And Blanchard got picked up by the
Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns.
Matty Blanchard is now in the practice squad for the Cleveland Browns, so there goes his career. The next one, sorry, Matt, I love you, but not anymore. The next one is when you describe a player. He is the next blank.
Michael Jordan.
The next Michael Jordan, the next Michael Irving, the next Brett Favre.
Next Wayne Gretzky.
Every time you describe someone as the next, there will never be a the next.
And actually, the next Wayne Gretzky has actually done a lot in hockey.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. And people
There's no reason for that.
People argue all the time, oh, is he as good? Like Sidney Crosby, is he as good as
different
Wayne
time,
Gretzky?
Different skill set, different players, different everything.
The pads were the goalie pads were different. They're bigger now. Goalies are bigger now. The game is faster. Just times are completely different. And with Michael Jordan, it's different players. You could be playing against a different skill of players. The age-old question, is LeBron James better than Michael Jordan?
No.
Or is people just saying that
time period.
Are people just saying that Michael Jordan is better because he came first?
It doesn't make a difference. Just because Michael has more trophies, if you look at the level of players back when Michael played to when LeBron played, it's two different times.
So you don't compare. They were the best
at their
era.
There is no the next. There will be no, he's the next Grant Coppersmith. He's the next Baxter Colburn. Well, because we were different at our times in our lives now than when the next generation is.
Exactly.
You can say, he resembles, he looks similar to, or similar playing styles, but you can't compare somebody in that regards.
Right.
Now, the next one, I think, I'm definitely guilty of this, saying this all the time, is ridiculous.
That's just a adjective. That's just
a
descriptive
but you use
word.
the same word to describe. You can't describe a one-handed catch and a long run at the same word.
Yeah, you can because so
what the
article is
absurd.
What the article is referencing is
mind-blowing.
So they're talking about Odell Beckham Jr.'s catch. And that from last year, that the one that you've seen 1,000 times that instantly made him the best receiver in the world, apparently. And then you have Beast Mode's 79-yard touchdown run, which is the one where he basically carried an entire defense for 79 yards to the end zone. He broke 7 tackles. And I think the run is more impressive than the catch, but still, I think that one I'm okay. I guess maybe people can use it too much, but it's not a stupid phrase.
No,
it's just
not.
Maybe a word that people maybe use a little bit too much. But I don't have a huge problem with that.
Yeah, I don't know. But I don't know. I don't like that one.
This next one's my favorite one, though.
Grant, did you know?
This next one's my favorite one.
That when you play a game, you play to win the game, Grant, and that the team that scores the most points wins the game.
You play to win the game.
Did you know that? Are you kidding? Come on. Is it not that obvious?
We let him off the hook. I remember I watched that game.
Did you?
Because I'm pretty sure it was the Arizona Cardinals against the Chicago Bears. And then the Arizona Cardinals were going in with a lead, and then they lost it to the Bears.
Yeah.
And the coach was absolutely furious.
That sounds about right.
And so that was his thing. I'm pretty sure I watched that live.
Well done. Well done.
But so
obvious statements like that, it's okay, you play to win the game. Okay, obviously, because if you're not here to win the game, just get off the field, honestly. Now, this next one I think is great. He plays the right way. Plays the game the right way. Well.
Compared to, he plays it incorrectly.
Jay Cutler. But,
Exactly.
The player that they use for an example here is Derek Jeter. He always played baseball the right way. Well, what exactly does that mean, Grant? What is the right way to play baseball? You hit the ball, you field the ball, you throw the ball,
and you do it well.
And you do it well, and you look darn good doing it. Is that how you do? Is that how you play a sport the right way?
Apparently.
Because, no one's ever seen a fluke play, and it's well, that's, whatever. I don't know. That's one of those that just gets me. I'm like, okay, he plays the game the right way. Well, sure. If he's made it to the pros, he's obviously been playing it the right way.
Yes, clearly.
This next one is great, and it's described in all kinds of sports. He arrives early and leaves late. Well, sure. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get to field practice early, and first guy on the field, last guy to leave the locker room at the end of the night. Well, okay.
I think that one's more of a just like used all the
that's-
time to describe like a hardworking player.
Yeah.
I mean, find something. That's one of those find something new kind
Yeah.
of things.
Especially
because you
with-
hear it everywhere.
You really do. And this next one makes me want to bang my head against a wall. When a player says, I just want to help the team win.
You mean? Oh no, I thought you wanted to help the team lose.
Because
That's what I was. Getting.
Why, in all wonders, are you on the team if you don't want to help them win?
Right, exactly.
That is the biggest cop-out in an interview. Oh, hey, how'd you think? Oh, I just want to help the team win.
Or
what?
And I think this one's coming up later, but one of my other favorite interview ones that's just a cop-out is a very famous Bill Belichick line.
Yes.
It's just saying, I'm just focusing on next team, or I'm just focusing
we're
on
on
next
to
week.
Cincinnati. We're on to, we're...
That's another one of my favorite ones.
That's a solid one, or, I'm just here so I won't get fined. Things like
That one was great.
Now, this next one we could go on and on and on and on about, but we won't because we don't have that kind of time. Insert gate, anything. Headset gate, bounty gate, spy gate, deflate gate, water gate, Nixon gate. No, we're not.
Nixon gate.
NFL gate, sports gate.
Gates, now we're done.
Backs and this one, I mean, you can take it or leave it. For the haters.
Oh, the haters.
You doing that? He's doing it for the haters. He's trying to prove the haters wrong. Well,
I thought it was just because you want to get better, but I mean, all right, if you want to take personal attacks.
that one was for the
heart.
haters. That one, I love it when people are like, that one was for the haters. Okay.
I mean, just stop worrying about other people and just your game.
Just play your darn game. This is a very obvious statement that we hear a lot from players and coaches. We're just focused on winning the game.
Yeah, this is the one that I was kind of referencing.
I mean, really. Honestly,
so you didn't go into the game. You didn't go into the war room this week, focusing on.
That was
okay.
Actually,
that's
what I was hoping to do this week.
This is how we want.
I wanted to lose the game, darn it, and we played way too well, and I am so mad at my players. I mean, really, who goes into a game saying, "I think we should just probably lose today"?
It's kind of like.
Are you not focused on winning the game? Why else are you at the stadium? Go home. If you not want to win the game, leave. No one's got time for you.
There should. Things that we already know, so you don't need to say, you're welcome. This should be a phrase that's on there.
Yeah, I feel like I need to take this, make a list of these and, keep them in the broadcast booth with me so that way I don't, say them. Or I'm going to, try to drop them now as much as possible. I think they're just here so they win the game. They're focused on winning the game this week. That was a ridiculous catch. Wow. Another good one, execute. Not the brutal bring them in the town square and rip their head off as you'd like to do with a helmet.
Fun little quote before you go on there,
Please.
Baxter. The first team to ever go to have a winless season. That's what I'm looking for. To have a winless season, it was a 71 Buccaneers, 72 Buccaneers, somewhere around there. Early 70s for the Buccaneers. Will and forever will be bad. Anyway. So a reporter, after they lost their final game of the season, asked the head coach, what did you think of the execution of your team? And the coach responded, I'm all for it.
Oh, classic. I like that. I might have to use that one.
That was good. A round of applause. That was a fantastic answer.
It is, yeah. And this next one, before we finish up here, we're almost done with these, the 20 sports phrases and cliches that are ready for retirement, courtesy of Bleacher Report here. The phrase, and you hear this in life, not even just in sports.
Right.
It is what it is, Grant.
Okay.
It is what it is.
Good.
Well, all right.
I knew that. That's another one of those.
Cool story, bro.
Here's a list. We know this, so
we're
good.
What it is.
It is what it is. All right.
Yes.
All right, moving on.
Yeah. The next one.
I actually don't mind.
Do you mind this one? Okay.
I don't mind it. It's. Sometimes they call a no-hitter a no-no. He threw a no-no. And, I mean, yeah, it sounds like a 4-year-old or like babble, but, I kind of like it. It's like I don't know. I don't mind it too bad.
Fair enough.
It's not awful.
No, some of the other ones, like you mentioned, Chris Berman saying back. 110%, Grant. You tell me how to give 10% more than what your maximum is. Tell me how you would do that.
I don't know.
I've
never
love it. We're just out here trying to, I felt like I gave 110% today. Well, that means you would have had to literally had an out-of-body experience and probably died and then brought yourself back and then kept going to have 110%. There's no such thing.
My high school it started a weightlifting program for our sports teams.
Oh, jeez.
And I had to do it for curling. LOL.
That's terrific.
Yeah, we had weightlifting for curling. Anyway, so the whole like slogan theme of this weightlifting program was be an 11. You know, like 10 out of 10, they want you to be an 11 out of 10. So the whole thing was be an 11, and that was a huge running joke around the high school.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
So
be an 11.
Find your maximum and then start over and go back to 1.
Yeah. I guess. I don't know.
Some
Be an
people.
11.
The sports world, that's why we love it. That's why we talk about it. We're going to go to another break. Before we head to break, though, Grant, you have tremendous upside. Did you know that? And I'm not just talking about your greatest assets either.
Yes, that's the last one.
The last one. 20 sports phrases and cliches that are ready for retirement,
Tremendous
courtesy of
upside.
Bleacher Report. You have tremendous upside as a broadcaster.
I don't mind
Grant.
that one either. Tremendous.
I don't mind it.
But they
it's
need
like
to use it a little bit less,
honestly.
but that one's not too bad.
Mel
That-
Kiper in the draft. This player has tremendous upside.
Oh, yeah, every time.
We have tremendous upside. That's why we're going to a break. We'll be right back. Our power rankings are next. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I am Bax.
And this is Grant.
Grant, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Baxter, how are you?
I have tremendous upside.
Why
and
are we
I'm just-
talking like this?
Because I'm here just to play the game and win the game, and I've got all the right skills for it. So, I've been playing this show the right way, Grant.
When I saw that was on the schedule, I'm like, oh, what did Baxter find?
Ooh,
And I
yes.
clicked on it. I was
Bleacher
like,
Report has so many wonderful things.
LOL, just clicking through all of them. They were so good.
It was
That's,
fantastic.
if you have,
Absolutely fantastic.
if you want to read and look at,
We'll
like,
put it on our Facebook page.
because it is hilarious. Just like when they go into detail,
Yeah.
just the description. My favorite one is the one about the Men Among Boys.
Yeah, it's like-
that one's great.
Really?
But the
the writer that did it,
Bleacher Report writers.
Laura
there's some
Depta
comedy.
is fantastic.
They're-
Grant's going to post it on our Facebook page, so keep an eye out for that for it. Grant, our new power rankings officially this time, not like for not faking it last
There
time.
are savages in this.
You know what? I think you
ranking.
are just a little upset about life. Last week, the Seattle Seahawks, New England Patriots, and Green Bay Packers and Indianapolis Colts were our top 4. Our top 4 is slightly different this week, Grant, but we will start on the bottom.
And David Kenyon had an interesting way of doing this.
I thought he did a good job.
I'm not saying it was bad. He just had an interesting way. I'm not necessarily agreeing with this, but I can definitely see where you're coming from.
You're not agreeing
But,
with the encyclopedia?
I'm just going to point out that I beat the encyclopedia in fantasy football.
That doesn't mean that you're
I know
better
it-
than him.
I know, and it's mostly because he wasn't. He had a bunch.
You
of
had all the right intangibles in that game, Grant.
He had more. He had suspended players that got hurt, and anyway,
It's a long season.
But that's
play to
my
win the
W.
game, Grant.
That's my W. Anyway,
going.
he only put teams in the top 10 that had a win.
I think
this
that's a
past
smart
week.
idea. I have
So I
no
just-
problem with that.
I mean, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I'm not going to say I agree with that, but yeah.
Okay.
I just thought it was an
No,
interesting thing
that's
to
a
point
smart
out.
idea. That's a very smart idea. This is our new Bax and Grand Sports Show Power Rankings as voted on by the Bax and Grand Sports Show staff. Here we are in Week 1 as we will start on the outside. Looking in, our two teams looking in, Grant, are the Atlanta Falcons and the St. Louis Rams.
Right.
And
Close. I'm actually surprised that
shocked.
St. Louis is not in the
I
top
am
10.
shocked that St. Louis is not in the top 10.
I voted for him.
You don't go out and beat a team like Seattle. I voted for them too. You don't go out and beat a team like Seattle and then not make it in the top 10. But other people had other ideas, so that's just how it goes sometimes. Our number 10 team, Grant, is the Miami Dolphins. Used to hear that on the radio all the time down in Florida because that's all we got down there with the Dolphin broadcasts.
And, I mean, that's against the Redskins team.
I mean,
and
really.
And it was
Can't-
and I mean, this isn't college, and we're not going to grade, but still, you have to look at the whole
Look at
game
who they
as a whole.
beat. They
right.
beat the Redskins.
It's by only a touchdown.
Yeah.
So,
And they were losing. They were down 10-7 at halftime and then came back and had to score 10 points to win the game at Washington. This is something that that bothers me. How do the Dolphins get more points? Yes, it was only one more point in the voting. But still, how do the Dolphins get more points in the Rams? How do you beat the second best team in the NFL in terms of just overall, like how they finished last year, if you're the St. Louis Rams, and not make the top 10? That bothers me, Grant.
well,
That
I
bothers
mean,
me.
we should talk to our guest panel because, I mean, that's
yeah.
who's putting it together.
I agree.
We should give them a talking to.
Our panel was very interesting this week. All right, our number 9 team is the Cincinnati Bengals. They had 11 total points for them in their voting. Cincinnati, they dealt a butt-whooping on the Oakland Raiders, 33-13. I think I'm fine with them being at 9 because
that's fair. That's
consider
fair.
who they beat.
Right. It's the Raiders. It's, classic Raiders. It's going to be a struggle. And not too concerned. The Bengals, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, no, I
9th.
agree.
We'll see how, when they play stronger opponents, how well that team does.
That's where it always kind of comes down to. The Bengals can be great during the regular season, but as soon as it hits the playoffs, Andy
Nothing.
Dalton just forgets how to play football.
What's a football?
Number 8, the Denver Broncos, receiving 21 total points. They defeated the Baltimore Ravens 19-13. Peyton Manning did not throw a touchdown. He threw an interception, though. Broncos defense looked hot. Peyton Manning did not.
I thought he threw one touchdown.
He did not, to my
Maybe I'm
knowledge.
just crazy.
This last Sunday was the second time ever that Peyton and Eli both did not throw touchdowns in a game
Whoa.
since they both have been in the NFL.
Nuts. That's nuts.
A Manning not throwing a touchdown doesn't seem possible. Regardless, Denver, they take up the number 8 spot on our power rankings. Number 7, our former number 1 from our preseason rankings, Seattle. They are down in 7 now after their overtime 34-31 loss to the St. Louis Rams, who should be so much higher in our power rankings, but I'm over it. Seattle has 24 total points now in our power rankings, Grant. Do you think that that's an accurate representation of where they should be?
I mean, I'm just trying to put together, tangible comment here, but they did put up 31 points.
They did,
against
yes.
a okay Rams defense, not horrible Rams defense, but we've always said that the offense needs to step up, and they did. The really big shock, obviously, is the defense, and the whole thing with Cam Chancellor. Should the Seahawks pick him up? Should they wait him out longer? Should they trade him? Even though the Seahawks said they're not going to trade him, they're probably just going to wait him out. But, that whole debacle. So I think a 7 is decent.
Sure.
And this is kind of what I said earlier about David Kenyon. He didn't put them on their top 10 because they didn't win. And see, that's when I
didn't
still
vote for
disagree.
Seattle either.
Because you need to look at, as example, and I know I didn't say this to him because I knew exactly his response. But look at the Green Bay Packers last year, how they started. They started 1-2, almost 1-3.
Yeah.
They were very close to being a 1-3 team last year. They didn't start out the best, and then they came out, and we still knew they were a good team,
Mm-hmm.
but they came out, almost went to the Super Bowl losing. You all know how the season ended last year.
Oh yeah.
But you see how far they went, and so that's
Anything
why
is possible, even if Seattle starts off their season not very
right,
well.
not slow. You could just look at last year, for the Packers.
Yeah.
But I knew exactly what he was going to say. He was like, yeah, and the Packers weren't good then. The Packers weren't the better team then in the NFL, so that's why they're not going to be on the power rankings. And I mean, to me, more power rankings is more of an interpretation of a team as a whole.
Yeah, team as a whole, recent form, etc. So our number 6 team is coming off of a great fourth quarter comeback, the Dallas Cowboys. They are number 6 on our power rankings with 31 points. I don't have much to say about Dallas. I thought that they played all right, but
I think 6 is a little high, honestly.
6 is a little high, okay. Fair enough.
I think if anything, I would actually put, and I think I might have, but I actually don't think I did. But I think the Seahawks maybe should be a little bit higher than the Cowboys. I don't remember
Interesting,
what I
okay.
put, but or at least I guess Seahawks being one less than the Cowboys. It's not awful. But yeah, I don't think the Cowboys played well at all against a New York Giants team that's not really all that good.
No. Odell Beckham Jr. didn't play very well in that game, but because Dallas's defense played well.
Right.
Within reason, by keeping him at bay. Our number 5 team is a little interesting. The Kansas City Chiefs are at number 5. They only beat the Houston Texans. They beat them by 7 points. Yes, the game was far out of hand. I'm a little concerned why the Chiefs got the number 5 spot, in total honesty. I didn't feel like they earned it that high.
Well, I think it's a lot because, kind of one of those benefit of the doubt things. Kind of like, the Packers. They still won the game, but, didn't have the best performance, didn't blow a team out. And this isn't college. We're not going to judge on like, they didn't win by 50 points. They're not a number 1 caliber team. No, that's not how it goes in the NFL. But still, looking at the whole game, they didn't play great. They didn't blow out the Texans. But I still think they still deserve, middle of the pack because they are going to be a decent team this year.
Sure. No, I completely agree.
If everybody stays healthy.
Yeah, exactly. If they play to win the game, they might have a good opportunity. Our number 4 team, which I think was definitely one of the surprises of Week 1, was the Buffalo Bills as they destroyed the Indianapolis Colts.
Absolutely.
And have definitely taken over our 4th spot. Number 3 is the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona pounding the Saints 31-19. Arizona proving that they might be one of the better teams in the NFC this year.
If anybody can stay healthy.
Exactly. That's honestly the truth, though. That's the big truth. Number 2, when receiving 1 first place vote because Grant is biased. The Green Bay Packers.
No shame.
The Green Bay Packers are our number 2 in our power rankings this week. They received 1 first place vote and 54 total points in our voting.
No shame.
And our number 1 team is the New England Patriots, receiving 5 first place votes.
You know what I should have done?
And 59 total points. What should you have done, Grant?
Not put the Patriots in the top 10. And so they wouldn't have gotten any points and just, inflate the numbers so the Packers could have gotten first.
Don't be that guy, Grant. You're skewing the system. You can be removed from the voting panel.
I put Packers 1, Patriots 2, so I made it fair.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, our official Week 1 Bax and Grant Sports Show power rankings for you one more time. First place, New England. 2nd, Green Bay. 3rd, Arizona. 4th, Buffalo. 5, Kansas City. 6, Dallas. 7, Seattle. 8, Denver. 9, Cincinnati. And 10 is Miami. Looking in is St. Louis and Atlanta. We'll be right back. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
All right, Grant, before we head off for another edition on another exciting day here on a Wednesday hump day of the Bax and Grant Sports Show.
Hump day.
Which has been a great day so far. We've had a good show. Had a lot of fun. Talked about a lot of exciting things. Before we head off, let's talk about the wonderful, exciting America's pastime. Don't even get me started. Baseball.
You can't dock that saying from baseball because it started. Baseball is America's pastime.
I mean, we'll talk about it. All right, Grant. What's the wild card picture look like in the MLB playoffs?
Argument for later. So I'm going to be mainly focused on the National League, but of course, got to give the American League its dues. But St. Louis being the first team to 90 wins this season, still first place in the entire league, followed closely by the Pittsburgh Pirates, who unfortunately are in the same division as the Cardinals. So the National League, because they're pressuring the St. Louis Cardinals more than a lot of other teams. So, for example, looking at the NL East, the New York Mets are in first place with 83 wins. If there was, a lesser team,
fair enough,
then there would have been a bigger game differential. There would have been a 7-game lead instead of a 3-game lead. So speaking of which, so we'll just talk about the NL Central. The St. Louis Cardinals, 90 wins, 54 losses. They're in first place. The Pittsburgh Pirates have 87 wins and 57 losses, are 3 games behind. They have the first wild card spot. And then following them are the Chicago Cubs.
Which I find interesting. Sorry, not with Chicago. That Pittsburgh is literally the second best team in all of Major League Baseball.
Right. It's kind of unfortunate that way. And this is just great. And then I was thinking about, NBA just changed their playoff weights. And then after this year should maybe baseball with how things are turning out. Because the way baseball playoffs work is the wild card. They have just one game that they play. And then the winner of that game moves on to best of 5 series.
Which is a little crazy, but I'm glad it's a single elimination, though. It makes everybody's lives go by faster.
The Pittsburgh Pirates right now would play a 1-game playoff with the Chicago Cubs, and anything can really happen in one game. And then let's say if St. Louis, because they've been dropping games lately.
Sure.
They've been 4-6 in their last 10, so they have gotten a little bit of cold streak. So if that continues, they've had a great season going to the playoffs, and they lose one game, and they were the best team in baseball for more than 50% of the season.
Yeah, no,
they've had
agree.
the best record pretty much all season, and nobody's been able to touch them. So that's kind of unfortunate. That's why I said it was unfortunate earlier, because it was just, I don't know, not fun. But yeah, so the Chicago Cubs then, 83 wins, 61 losses, 7 games back of the Cardinals for first place. But what their main concern is, they're the second wild card spot holder.
Okay.
So that is their main claim to fame, and they have it pretty much safe. I'm going to go ahead and say that what you're looking at right now is pretty set for the National League, because the Washington Nationals are 9 games back of the wild card. The San Francisco Giants have not played well, even though they are 7-3 in their last 10 games. But they went on a cold streak. They are now 7.5 games back of the wild card.
Oh my!
So what it's looking like right now are the teams are going to be the Mets, St. Louis Cardinals, and the LA Dodgers. Those are the division leaders right now. And then you have the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Chicago Cubs are looking pretty solid. Those are going to look like your teams going through for the National League. So that is exciting. Well, so there's not going to be, tight-knit races and stuff like that. But what is interesting battles are going on in the American League right now. Texas and the Astros fight for first place back and forth. They're in a series right now against each other. It's great.
That's for good entertainment, I think, for the Texas fans.
Oh, the Texas Rangers have been making a comeback, and actually the Houston Astros have had a great season, so you can't knock them for that. But they have been playing well this season after having just horrible seasons in the past. So that's great. The wild card spot is really close. The Minnesota Twins are only a half game back from the Houston Astros now. The New York Yankees only have a 2.5 lead on the Astros. The Angels are only 3.5 games back of the wild card.
Possible.
There is a bunch of wild card races going on in the American League and divisional races. So the National League, they're pretty much set. It's not as interesting, but if you're looking for a classic run to October battle,
the hunt for Red October.
American League is
American woman.
Yeah. Great races there, especially in the American League
I wish I
West.
followed baseball a little bit closer, because I'm
It's
sure
great.
this is exciting. But,
This time of the year is fantastic.
It is.
I love
I'm following
this
the
time
MLS
of the year.
playoff race right now. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Baxter Grand Sports Show. It's been an exciting show today. Special thanks to all of you that tuned in on Periscope. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, all of you that listen to us, you can catch us right here Monday through Friday from 7 to 8 a.m. Central, live on Spreaker.com and on Periscope as well. And you can catch us anytime on demand, anytime you want, if you feel like it, if you got time for us. If anybody got time for the Baxter Grand Sports Show,
Anybody got time for
you
that?
can catch us on SportsRadioAmerica.com from 11 to 1 p.m. Central, and on demand on Live 360. Wow, this is so sad. I quit. I don't even know what to do.
The struggle. You can find us on Facebook at the Baxter Grant Sports Show. You can also go on Twitter and Instagram and find us at BG Sports Show. You can find Baxter on Twitter at Baxter Colburn, and I am at Grant's Rant BGSS.
I'm sorry, all of my intangibles and my tremendous upside have just completely crashed. I wasn't playing to win the game today, Grant.
You can make a great broadcaster if you stay healthy.
Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. We will see all of you tomorrow at 7 a.m. on Spreaker.com and at 11 a.m. on Sports Radio America. Enjoy your day, everybody. See ya!